This is the History of New Zealand Drum and Bass series, celebrating over 25 years of drum and bass in Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the History of New Zealand Drum and Bass podcast. Joining me all the way from London town on his evening, very dear friend of mine, one of the voices of drum and bass, one of the absolutely seminal voices of drum and bass, if you're going to really go down that road. It's Stamina MC. How you going, brother?
Good morning, sir.
Now, you've survived, bro. You survived the lockdown, the great plague of 2019, 2020, and 2021.
Survived multiple incarnations of the very same, yes.
You did. You actually got COVID, didn't you?
According to the tests, yes. I'm not convinced that I did. If I did, I was entirely asymptomatic, not a loss of taste, not a shortness of breath or anything like that. But the test said positive, so I did my good citizen thing and stayed indoors for a week and a half.
Nice. It didn't affect you that much then?
No, sir, not at all. Just my freedom, nothing of my health.
The rawest deal about COVID is losing your sense of taste and smell, man. That's dark.
Dude, me, like, me. Like, some people drink, some people take drugs, some people fuck. I eat. That's my thing. Like, take that away from me and I'm by the window ledge contemplating everything.
Yeah.
How food? If food has no purpose, life has no purpose, bruv.
I know, man. I actually knew a guy back in Christchurch. He was on magic mushrooms and he fell over and hit his head and he lost all sense of taste and smell. And he's never regained it back, I don't think. And he used to do some outrageous shit. Like he used to work in a bar, so he'd like get a squeegee full of like juice from the bar, wiping down the bar, and put that in a shot glass and smash it back. Like couldn't taste a thing, you know. Ugh.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
I mean that doesn't mean it's not toxic though. Jesus, stop doing that, bro. What the hell?
I think it's a thing among bar staff because I've seen another and Johnny Cern before he passed when he used to work at Fubar. He did that a couple of times as well. It was fucking disgusting. Hey man, so you're coming out to all things going according to plan. You're coming back out to New Zealand, bro.
Fingers and toes crossed. Yeah, fingers and toes crossed. Praying for. Expedited, non-incidental kind of processing of all that shizzle. And yeah.
Oh, I think, Auckland's just come out of level 4 lockdown. They're at level 3, which is basically level 4 with Uber Eats, but it's kind of like we are on the road. Yeah. We're on the road to recovery now, you know what I mean? I think we kind of managed to contain it, but we'll see. But you're coming out with Shy FX to play Rhythm and Vines and Rhythm and Alps.
And Northern Bass, yeah.
And Northern Bass.
Yeah.
Only going to be here for a few days, but then you're heading over to Aussie, aren't you?
Again, fingers crossed and whatnot. Like,
yes, right, of course. Yeah. I think Western Australia usually has their shit together, man. They've not spent much time in lockdown. I think that's probably one of the benefits of being the most isolated city on Earth.
Yeah. Nothing around but spiders. They'll be okay.
Yeah, totally. Spiders and snakes, alligators. It's
nothing that can talk. Just loads of silent killers.
So what did you do to keep yourself busy during lockdown over in the UK, bruv? Because that's a long time to be by yourself.
I mean, it is. Although absent context, it's not massively different to my typical existence. 5 days out of every 7. Most of the time, I'm on my ones anyway because no one really lives where I live. I'm not I don't really have particularly many genuine friends within this music thing or whatever. And if I do, they tend not to be geographically located anywhere near me. Case in point, the motherfucker I'm talking to right now. It's just that I don't get to see people really.
Yeah.
The people that I want to see are nowhere near me.
I think a lot of producers relate to that anyway. It's a very solo, sedentary life.
Oddly enough, just now has actually come around something that I don't know why I didn't actually give any real thought to it before, but just for this little trial period, I'm really, really enjoying it already. How all these big cinema chains are trying to entice people back through their doors and whatnot. Well, for the last however many years, in fact, not just recently. So they're all doing this kind of all you can eat type of subscription thing. You pay this one price and you can watch as many films in as many of their branches as you can physically do. So I basically just went with one brand that's not that close to where I live as like the local, the hood cinema, which is everything it sounds like. But these ones are a little bit further away. They cost a little bit more money, but they're just that bit nicer. Like, they actually push the bulbs up the way they're supposed to, so you're not squinting at the fucking screen. Like, the sound is actually quite nice. They've got like soft reclining chairs, and there's like only about 6 or 7 chairs per row instead of like 14 or 15. So it's just a little bit more of a comfortable type of setting that you might be just sharing. Atmosphere. Yeah, even if the room's full, there's like 30 people in it rather than 100. So it's actually just a lot more of a nice experience. So I've just been doing that for the last couple of weeks. It's just 3 months. The subscription will run out maybe a couple of days before I'm supposed to fly. But basically this week I'm going to end up going to the cinema like 5 days this week just because I can. And because there's not really a lot of things being released into the cinemas right now because everyone's scared of going to the cinema, there's loads of old stuff on. Like, I've been watching Lord of the Rings, bro. I never saw Lord of the Rings before.
You what?
I've never, because I missed the first one for just being
Hang on, so like when you've come out to New Zealand in the past, has no one ever taken you to Hobbitsville? Or Hobbiton or whatever it's called?
No.
You've never had any gauge on Lord of the Rings, bruv?
Bruv,
that is mad. That's what we're known for.
No, it's not that I don't know that. It's just that whatever I was doing when the first one came out, I didn't get around to going to the cinema. I own the books. I love them. But I just never got around to seeing the first one in the cinema. Therefore, I wasn't going to watch 2 and 3 without seeing the first one. And it just so happened that they've just decided to put all 3 of them back in the cinemas just for a couple of days so people can catch it up. I'm just
so is it that's like a day-long box set at the cinema? Because that's like 9 hours of viewing.
Yeah, there isn't like an IMAX in central London that was doing a marathon where they did all 3 in one day. But I missed that because I had to work. That was on the weekend. That was on a Saturday. But the one that's not so far from me, if this were done Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so I'm just like, okay, yeah, cool. I'll just do that.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, if I get to do the third one tomorrow, I'm really happy. Five cinemas viewings in a week is something I've never ever done before. But as a singleton, there are not that many things, enjoyable things, legal things that you can do on your own.
Are you low key like pre-making your own popcorn and sneaking it in a bag and taking your own drinks, or are you shelling down at the bar?
Do you know what? Like, I think if it were closer to winter and maybe I had like a jacket or I had more reason to have like a bag or something with me, then maybe I would consider it. But as of now, we're having like an exceptionally mild September here. So it's actually still like t-shirt and sunglasses weather. There's nowhere for me to even do anything like that without crunching with every step. So no, not quite yet.
Man walks into cinema loaded.
And a big old fucking roadman jacket down to the fucking ankles, looking at the fucking Michelin man. Like, yeah. All that to stash some popcorn. It's like, just spend the $5, you bastard.
Next thing you get dragged out and questioned by the paddies because they think you're going to bomb or some shit.
Yeah, exactly. Excuse me, sir. Enhanced search. Step this way, please.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, this podcast is really about the history of New Zealand drum and bass, and it's about sort of celebrating the last over 25 years of drum and bass in New Zealand, you know, from the early days, from when, you know, Groove Rider, Trace, Goldie, Doc Scott, Kemi Storm, yourself alongside Marquis in the 2000s and all that, you know. It's about celebrating those stories and talking about those times and the experiences for, you know, touring international artists, not just locals as well, you know. So let's take it back to when you first came out here. You're out here with Marky, weren't you?
Yes, that was the first one. That was May of 2004. Is that cool?
That's long, bro.
Well,
we're old.
Ain't it just, and aren't we just? Yes, sir.
I know, bro. I know. How many shows were you guys doing around the country at that time?
That would have been 3. That would have been Auckland, Christchurch, Wellington. That was the general format. I didn't actually get to see anything other than those 3 until 2 years ago when I was last there. It was always just those 3. Right. Never anywhere else in the country. Never, ever, ever. Not once.
I mean, you've been out here a myriad of times now, and it's like Probably
I mean,
half a dozen.
At most. At most, I can still count them on my feet. I've been to Australia a lot more. I can still count them on my fingers. If there's more than one hand, then lucky me. But it's not much more than
it's
that.
kind of like you may not have been out here that many times, but the times you have been out here, you've spent quite a lot of time out here, sort of enjoying the culture and eating our fine food and
as best I possibly can. Like I don't understand how anyone would travel that far and not do something like that. The idea of just flying in, doing your thing, and then flying out on the red eye the following day sounds like hell to me. Like motherfuckers will be spending longer on the plane than they will on dry land. That makes zero sense to me.
Yeah, that is a long way to fucking come just to... I mean, I used to feel the same way, bro. Like, I'd tour around Europe and I'd be in a magical place like Denmark or fucking just somewhere beautiful, just built for one night or for a matter of hours. I've been to Paris once and I was only there for 12 hours and, fucking... I had to get out of there. It was like, oh, damn.
Well, so, that's just it. If you have to, you have to. Sometimes schedule dictates, but typically for the kind of time of the year that the tours would be, like, but for good fortune, there would be quite a lot of them that would be around, Christmas, New Year's, that type of thing, in which case the diary has not a great deal in it around that time anyway. Once the studenty kind of thing tapers off around the end of October, November's normally a bit of a dead spot, and then festive seasons, a few things over Christmas, over New Year if you're fortunate, and then all of January is dead, super dead. So if I'm over your side of the world, what the fuck am I going home for? There's nothing for me at home except bills. Like I'll just stay. Like there's nothing going on at home. I don't need to rush back for anything.
Yeah.
There's no dependence. No one's waiting on me. It's fine. It's like I can just hang out.
Yeah. Taking it back to when you first came out to New Zealand, you were riding the wave of LK at that time, weren't you?
I'd say so. There was definitely still fresh in people's minds then.
Yeah, and then it was a year after that you were back out, and this is when we really got to know each other, when you were touring Barcelona with DK, because that had just gone back into the charts as well. It was like 2 years in a row with singles in the top 40 in the UK.
I mean, in terms of the releases, yes. LK was 2002, Barcelona was 2003. But the time when I actually saw and got to hang out with you was 2005.
Yeah.
That was, and just oddly enough, just so happened that, DK was out with me as well. Yeah,
we were touring. Where we toured? We did like Adelaide and Perth and Melbourne and things like that. It was Storm and myself. We ended up, and in an insane asylum in Fremantle with like Salmonella Dub and myself and you guys and fucking Roots Maneuver, who was on the piss. He was on the piss that night, man. And then he got up and just slew it as well. It was like
it wasn't anything, like he'd just been drinking water all day. Yeah. Like, you absolute savage.
Fuck, I know. It's like, you really do this.
Yeah, I was like secondhand high just watching him. It's like, oh my word. Like, I'm getting giddy in the head, like, mental.
Yeah, I remember some heated debates going down on that tour as well between you and DK about, I can't remember. It was kind of, we were very much talking music. I think we were in a airport hotel, airport lobby or something like that. And
okay.
I think I can't remember. Anyway, I'll cut this part out. But
you're no good. I'd love to be reminded of that. What debates? I don't feel like.
I think it was about how you didn't want to be known for the guy that makes tunes like Barcelona and LK or something like that. You had your own identity and shit like that. But I think, I don't know how that would have been a debate, to be fair. I mean, how could anyone argue with that if that's how I felt? I mean, there definitely was a concern of mine, and I'll be surprised that I'd still be talking to either you or DK about it by that point. But there definitely was a concern within my mind that I didn't want to be perceived as like, I don't know, like the Craig David of drum and bass sort of thing. It's just guy just responsible for all of these like crossover tracks, just, inviting the commercial sin through the door of the the underground hardcore whatever. I didn't really want to be that guy. I felt like God, fireworks. What's going on with fireworks? Is that gunshots, bro? Where are you living?
Bruv, I don't live quite in the hood like that. Not anymore. Those days are behind me now. Touch wood. But Yeah, I just felt like if, that not that any individual or group of people could really kind of like affect what I would do just on account of their opinion of me, because that environment week to week doing the bread and butter drum and bass things was a place that I was very much happiest in, if it meant that commercial flirtation was to take a backseat as a result, and I could just carry on doing the stuff that I'd always wanted to do and was now able to do as a lifestyle rather than as a hobby, then fine, I'll just do that. I believe that I was always capable of doing that, but it wasn't necessary for me to do that. I was already doing exactly what I'd never dreamed of being able to do. So the idea of being on the radio and in the charts and whatever wasn't even the next level up. It was more like a branch on the road that wasn't on the map. I didn't expect that at all. So it wasn't really something I was really gunning for either.
Yeah. I remember something going down and I was like, this is really interesting to be listening to. Just fly on the wall shit conversation.
Well, the thing with me is like, I'm not one of those ranty kind of people who will just kind of, open my window and start shouting out into the void. If you ask me something, I'll probably just tell you. If you seek my opinion on something, I'll certainly give it to you. I just do not want to talk for the sake of talking. But if we're gonna have a conversation, then sure, I'll tell you. I'm not really out to offend anyone, but
no,
I'll speak my mind.
Yeah, totally. I mean, this podcast is an open platform, man. Anyone can say what the fuck they want, really, and it's also an opportunity for other people to respond if they want to. It's about drum and bass, and it's about people talking about the past and the history.
Come at me, bro. Come at me.
And definitely not a platform for people to like cause beef, but I think that part of the scene's kind of done and dusted.
I mean, the podcast is young. We can still make it that. We got time. I ain't got to go anywhere. Yeah, we can fuck shit up if you want.
I just released the first 4 episodes overnight just to celebrate Auckland coming into level 3. And give people something to listen to, because they're being told straight up that Auckland's going to be in level 3 for at least 2 weeks. So fuck it, might as well put some episodes out and give some.
Seeing as they can't actually go particularly many places, the Uber Eats can come to them, but they can't go anywhere. So yeah. So during that time, I mean, you did say, you didn't ever, it was a branch on the road that you didn't actually imagine. What the fuck was it like for you to end up just pretty much on a constant touring schedule after that? Because you were playing, I was looking on the net the other day and you were playing LK on Top of the Pops in the UK, you know what I mean? It was like, I had goosebumps because it was just legendary shit. And it was during a time when drum and bass had just sort of started developing a mainstream sound, like Tali had come through with Lyric on My Lip and her album, and the Full Cycle and Ronnie and all that sort of stuff were also, huge pushes of vocals on drum and bass. And what was it like, man? Like two consecutive, no one else has done this, consecutive top 40 hits. 20.
Top 20 hits.
Yeah.
I'd stand corrected. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's it wasn't actually something that I really gave a great deal of thought to in real time, insofar as I was just more incredulous than anything. I was just like, how has this happened? Again, like I said, it wasn't something I expected to do. So it's not like, I knew I could do it. I knew I had it in me. Look, see, all you lot doubted me. There was never any of that. It wasn't a thing where people were just kind of like naysaying, and there was an element of proving oneself or a accomplishment or anything like that. From my perspective, from the seat I was sat in or from the stage I was stood on, they were just 2 gloriously happy accidents. I'm just like, wow, people actually like what I do that much. Like, LK was the single first thing I ever recorded in my life and released.
What?
I'd recorded stuff before, but that was the first release ever with my voice on it. So for it to be that successful was brain melt. I just like, even now I still don't get it. So the idea that the second one was as successful, like chart-wise, it was more successful. Underground, not quite so much. But the idea that I could just have 2 back-to-back like that, that's actually what set about the whole thing I was saying before about the whole Craig David, the drum and bass thing. It's just like, as what I'm recording tunes, and this is what's happening when I start recording. All of it. Whoa, this is a bit mad. Maybe I should just take a beat. It's just like
stamina with a Midas touch,
or something. I don't know, but this is me being like 24, 25, like super green to absolutely everything, and just basically having fun with the dream that I didn't dream. Now my lifestyle and whatnot is just it could be very easy for me to do too much here. So let me just take my time and not rush, because if I am genuinely that guy, then I've got time, because all of my peers, all of the people that I've grown up listening to and whatnot, they're all still around and they haven't done any of this stuff. So I'm not obliged to do any of this stuff that no one else has done. Not doing that won't stand me in any worse stead than just being a drum and bass MC week to week.
It's true.
Working the clubs.
Word. Like, it's a different one as well, because a lot of mainstream crossover anthems aren't timeless, whereas fucking LK is and always has been, and I think will remain, that quintessential drum and bass summer anthem. If you drop that in a set in the summertime, everyone's raving in the sun or whatever, every fucking time it's a roadblock, like it's just one of those tunes, so it's one of those rare cases as well, whereas it was your fucking first time on vinyl, on a release or whatever, and then this trajectory that took. But B, it was also like you created a timeless fucking tune. You know what I mean? How did that actually How did you and Marky link up?
That was movement. That was movement. That was the Thursday night event that Brian would do at Bar Rumba in the West End.
Shout out Brian G.
Shout out to Brian G. Frost.
Also, check your DMs because I've messaged you about coming on the podcast, Brian. Come on.
Brian needs several pokes in the ribs to get stuff done. But I say that with love because I'm exactly the goddamn same. So yeah. He was without sin, etc. Yeah, so basically we were just kind of getting brought in by those guys at much the same sort of time. And just by virtue of being in the same place, the relationship was forged over time, is the abridged answer.
Yeah, right. Marky had been in the game for fucking ages by that stage as well. Like, it's funny because this is the second time that we've recorded this podcast. Last time it kind of fucked out and the audio quality was crud.
My fault.
So, but we did touch on last time that, like you talked about how amazing it was for you when you were coming through and you were just starting to sort of like become a vocalist and all that sort of shit, that on the other side of the planet in a place like Brazil, there was a guy called Marky who was working in a record store who was importing vinyl. At the same time, there was this movement happening in Brazil, there's this movement happening in London, and then you end up meeting him in London at Movement, you know what I mean?
No, absolutely. That was the thing that was truly like inconceivable to me, by way of like just having this music, infiltrate my own consciousness and that of my small social circle within my tiny little pocket of North London or whatever. It's just like, okay, cool. We're listening to this, everyone's swapping tapes and someone's got a friend who's a DJ and buying records and they'll do mixtapes and whatever. And the sound is just going around, eventually someone takes me to a rave and, that's my first experience to hearing the music the way it was intended to be heard. And then conceiving of the fact that, there are raves going on in cities all over the country is already kind of blowing my mind. Or like on any given Friday or Saturday when I'm at flipping, Roller Express or wherever else, that there's someone at the Sanctuary in Milton Keynes or at the Q Club in Birmingham or whatever else, and everyone's raving. That's just what people do nationwide. So worldwide was just levels unseen to me. You know what I mean? At that point in time, I couldn't even point to Sao Paulo on a map. Like, I didn't know where it was like that. I knew where Brazil was generally, but where's Sao? I couldn't point to it. I don't know. So the idea that like people over there that don't speak the same language as you and I, are listening to the exact same music that comes from here where I am. How does the music that I love get there? How do they even know that it exists? You know what I mean? Because we are talking pre-internet at this point in time. How the fuck did they get it? So the idea that everything was happening simultaneously fucking blew my mind when Marky's talking to me, when his English got good enough to tell me about, how long he's actually been buying records and how many thousands of records there are in his collection, and the favorites of his from back in 1990X and whatnot. I'm just like, holy shit, he was listening to this at the same time as me. Amazing. Look at music.
And not only that, he was also one of the most fire turntablists on the planet at that time as well. He's this fucking loose man. The first time I ever saw you guys play at Foo Bar in Auckland was a fucking madness, because I'd never seen anyone fuck with it. Like, Hype hadn't been out here at that stage, so you hadn't seen anyone really scratching over drum and bass and jungle. But fuck me days, man, when I saw Marky, it was like, this is someone who's definitely had realms, and like, he's sort of been part of the four realms of hip hop, and he's put that into his style of drum and bass. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. Because as soon as Marky's thing came around, I felt like, there was that thing where, the obvious comparisons with someone like Hype, and because not typically, you could count on your fingers the amount of people who were even scratching over drum and bass at that BPM, etc.
Yeah, totally.
Even though I didn't have the words for it at the time, now I would say that what Marky does is less kind of like, DMC type turntablism and whatnot. It's just more kind of like, I guess I'd say it was performance scratching, in that it's as much about what you see him do as it is about what it sounds like. Whereas, Hype, respectfully, Hype is not a guy that you watch DJ. Like, he plays his records. He'll get his battle thing out and he'll do his scratch, and then he'll carry on mixing. He'll nod his head and he'll do his thing. He's your DJ's DJ. You know what I mean? But Marky is just so much more flamboyant with it, so much more of a performer, and and as well as singing the words and doing the his little handy wavy posy things that he does and whatnot, he's just so much more of a showman on the turntables than more or less anyone that really occupies this BPM, you know what I mean? So in that sense, his showmanship and his dynamism in terms of how he would play the music and how he would scratch and integrate those things into the playing of records and the mixing of them informed a lot of the choices that I would make as an MC as well, in terms of like, okay, such and such tune is on, I'll do my little 16, I'll sing my little bit or whatever, then I'll fall back and then he'll step forward and he'll do his thing as well. And that kind of push-pull of the two of us, that synergy of the two of us, is what I felt made our show valuable, because you don't get particularly many DJ MC pairings where you can see and feel that those two people that are up there really understand the fuck out of each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
I think you can count those pairings on your fingers as well. There's not been many.
You came through in the days, I learned this from when we spoke last, but you came through from the days when, guys, your favorite MC, Stevie Hyper D, was on stage with probably about 12 other drum and bass MCs or jungle MCs at the time and all that sort of shit. Was there that synergy between a lot of those guys, or were a lot of them in those days sort of battling for the mic and their chance to have their spit sort of thing?
I mean, over time, yes. Who was? I mean, yeah, there'd be like, granted, maybe not in the same range as Stevie, but you had, Bookham and Conrad were definitely a pairing. Andy and GQ were a pairing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Who else?
Oh, Dynamite and Ronnie.
Absolutely.
If you're on stage with someone, is there any particular MC that you love working with, like on stage?
Oh,
say you do have to share the mic.
There aren't many. Because I feel like, the way in which I actually conduct my set, plural, it obviously has to change as soon as there's someone else there, insofar as, I have to consider their inspiration and their mood and their vibe and what they would want to do at any given moment, or what they might like to do at any given moment. I need to be ready for them to be, yo, let me get on this one at a time when I've already got something in mind to do, and I've got to be like, okay, yeah, cool, take it, or no, hold back, watch, I'm going to fuck this one up. You know what I mean? And just having that understanding and that kind of connection between the two of us matters a great deal as well. And once you understand the other person's style, as to be like, okay, what are they going to do? When they're tapping me on the shoulder saying, come, let me go, What is it that they're gonna do? And I'm going to be listening to them to be like, right, what is it that they're doing? Have I got something to bounce off that? Or whenever they finish their 16 or whatever, do we just kind of let it breathe? And just things like that contribute to the push pull. So cats like Dynamite, like Conrad, like SP, like DRS, like those might be most. No, you know what? Actually, my favorite person to work with over time is Deism.
True.
I fucking love her, bruv. I love her so
She
much.
Is sick on the mic.
Bruv, like, the reason why is because, if anything, she's probably like the closest to me in that she's got fucking verses, but then when she's ready to sing, she's solid in both those disciplines, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like out of all of the girls, not a lot of them even rhyme at all. Most of them will sing, but the fact that she's ready to do both and she can do them both to a high standard, and the way her musical ear, the pockets that she finds within music, I'm just like, oh my God. After time, I'm just like, I don't even want to follow. I'm just being a fan. I'm just listening to her. You sick motherfucker. That's amazing. I love working with her, man. Like probably her over most people. I love her so much.
I mean, she hasn't been out to New Zealand. I don't think she's ever been out here.
Has she not?
That's madness. No,
that is a madness. That's what she was doing. A lot of the good looking tours for a while. I'm surprised that they never took her over that side.
I have to have a look back through the history books. I'm sure someone out there might be able to correct us on this because this podcast is gaining a few followers, which is fucking awesome. But I want to take it back to like, the time when you sort of first realized that you wanted to be an MC. When was that?
That's a good question. That's a very good question because I don't know that I necessarily wanted to be an MC. It's more that...
You did start out DJing, right?
Yes, I did. I started out buying records. And even then, it wasn't that I wanted to be a DJ. It was that I was taught to mix by someone at the youth centre that was local to me, outside Chris Bell or the St. Mary's gang. And it was more just, I liked jungle and I thought mixing was cool. So I started buying records and that was it. But with both the DJing and the MCing, my thinking and my belief was that which I liked to do, that which I felt was my strong suit and whatnot, bore so little resemblance to what was actually popular with my, social group and further afield, that it didn't even seem realistic to me that something that was attainable. I'm just like, why would anyone like what I do? Look at what people go sick for. I'm nothing like that. So it was just a hobby. Unconventional wisdom says that, that in itself is the best reason to be doing anything, just because you love it, not because you want something for it. And that's, perhaps why the universe decided to choose me to carry forward with what I'm doing, just because I didn't expect anything from it. I was just doing it for the purity of the participation, you know what I mean? But I didn't want to be. It was never a thing of like, oh, when I grow up I want to be an MC. It's like, no, man, just singing a little bit, doing my little rhymes or whatever for all the man them in the Highbury where I was staying at them kind of times. That's all it was. It was just fun. It was just a way to pass the time. I was good at that, whereas I wasn't good at kicking ball or playing video games or going down to the West End to go and look for girls. I wasn't good at any of that stuff. I was just good at music. I was good with words. So that was it. I just was playing to my strengths.
So when you say you're good at words, when you set out to write a tune, do you turn up with lyrics? Say Shy gives you a tune, or like Roll the Dice, for example. Did you have that melody in your head? Was it something that you...
Absolutely not.
And you thought, fuck, no?
No.
How did that one go together?
Absolutely not. With pretty much all of the things that you've ever seen my name on, or even a couple of the ones that my name isn't on, like the canvas is entirely blank until such time as I hear the track, and I will allow that track to dictate mood and vibe, perhaps even subject matter as well, like whatever image the music conjures up for me, I'll just go with that. Invariably, the first idea that I come up with is usually what I end up with, because if I start to think about it and really consider it a great deal, that which I put down afterwards ends up being overly thought about and a bit sterile. So the first vibe that I come with, I can either refine that or just leave it as it is. But if I try and like really overcook it, or like, oh, I'm going to make this one about, leaving home at an early age, or, some weekend that I had that was a little bit crazy, some story that, nah, I can't make those decisions. The music itself will inform what I feel like should go on it, at least within the realm of my capabilities. Anyone else can add whatever they add, but for how the tune sounds and for who I am as a writer and as a vocalist or whatever, this is what I feel like best suits that tune with my capabilities. That's what there is.
Right. Man, I mean, this is fucking priceless knowledge for a lot of the budding MCs and vocalists out there, because I know there's a lot of them coming through New Zealand at the moment. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing those insights, brother.
as I said, man, anyone can ask, and I'll tell. This is like, if anything that I say or know or think, consider, etc., can be useful to anyone, then there's literally no downside to me sharing it, because like, basically, if anything of what I've said today is of value to anyone, we all win. Like, the genre wins. Like, more talented people, more solid tunes out there, everybody wins. Like, I don't win if I leave it in my head. Like, no one does. Yeah. So yeah, let's all come up together, man.
Yeah, it is a madness at the moment. There is some great talent coming out as well. Did you manage to have you really cottoned onto any vocalists that are working in drum and bass recently that are kind of doing something that sort of piques your attention, piques your interest?
There's a couple of girls. They're both English. On the international circuit, not quite so much, but there's a couple of girls of whom I don't know a great deal about, but that which I'm hearing of what they're putting online or whatever else, I'm very much excited by their potential. There's a girl by the name of Lizzie Stringer, who's a vocalist, and we have a few mutual follows on the gram and whatever else. But like, her vibe, she'll just go up on there and just do covers a lot of the time, but just her tone and her delivery and what, I'm just like, okay, yeah,
nice.
your levels, actually. And to the point where I even messaged her, cold calling basically. But I'm just like, look, I think you're sick. And what I would like to do, or what I'd like to say as just like an open-ended, non-expiring offer, is at any point in time, if you feel like you've got something that you're doing that I could fit in on, whether it be for like a verse, a chorus, and BVs or whatever, I would like to contribute to one of your projects. I'm not asking you to come in on anything of mine. I would like to collaborate with you and make something that you're doing better. You know what I mean?
Bruv. I bet that fucking made her fucking day, bro. Like, you're the guy, stamina MC that's not fucking
I'm a
guy.
I don't know if I'm the guy. Like,
no, you got hits under your belt, G, and also, now she's like, fuck me days. Like, yes, I bet that's lit a fire in her belly, bro.
Bruv, but she's levels though. That's the thing. It's just like, if we do that, if we actually get around to it, we all win. Like, we all win.
Yeah.
Because I think she's sick. If she thinks I am, then all the better. And if people think that what we do is sick, then all the better again. Like, everyone wins.
Totally.
Everyone wins. Yeah. There's another chick who's an MC who also sings, and her name is Wiser. And it's more of the same thing again. She's more leaning towards the kind of jump up thing at the moment. So she does a lot of the double time thing over a lot of the high energy clubby things, which, as you know, I don't really enjoy for the most part. But what she does pen wise, I'm just like, okay, there's some intelligence here. There is some intelligence here. I swear she's like 22, 23, something like that. She's a puppy. Like, but if she sounds like that now, I mean, shit, I was 23 when my shit popped off, you know what I mean? So I'm like, if you sound like that now, I'm very excited by what you're going to sound like in 3 more years or in 5 years or whatever. If this is what you're doing now, the world is your oyster. You've got it all to come. Like, because the refinement over time, it's only going to be good.
So these two names again, Lizzie.
Lizzie Stringer and Wiser, Y-Z-E-R.
Here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Stamina told you.
They're for me. Like, if you ask me my opinion on a lot of stuff, I will generally say, yeah, it doesn't really do a lot for me. Those two are the first two that come to mind, and it's like, yeah, there are others, but generally people don't ask my opinion on that often, so I don't really have them to recite. But if you'd asked me this question in advance, I'd have prepped some names for you. But those are the two that first come to mind.
No, I like getting shit off the cuff because it's like, people can often sort of shape their questions. I like things to be a little bit more off the cuff. So it's like, okay, cool. Here's the two first ones that pops in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But we were talking last time about, obviously, fuck man, like COVID, massive influx of live streams, Twitch, all that kind of carry on. But we were talking last time about how there was one live stream that shut all other live streams down for you. Who was that by?
Oh my god, bruv. Was it Milford Sound? Was it like Chicorelli and Tali? I think she had Tom Piper with her as well. But like, bruv,
and Tom Piper and Munro, I think. Yeah,
bruv. Like, when I saw that
scenes, right?
I was like, okay, the whole thing done. Pack up your thing, sound boy. Pack up your things and leave. Just like, I was like, oh my god, the settings. I was like, okay,
it's fucking madness, isn't it? That's at the very bottom of the South Island, Milford Sound. It's fucking like nearly 1,000 meters deep under there. That's two big mountain cliffs coming out of the water, basically. Fucking tectonic plates meeting each other.
Bruv.
Madness.
Bruv. That was the biggest flex I think I've ever seen. I'm just like, okay, respectfully, Tali's dick is bigger than everyone's. Like, that was a madness, bruv. Like, absolute madness. No one can't do that. Shout out Tali forever and a day. That fucking hell.
Shout out
so
Chicorelli as well. Jesus.
So
yeah,
sick.
I mean, when I saw the photos start leaking out and shit, I was like, oh my God. Someone's gone and done it. It's fucking Milford Sound as well, live stream. But it wasn't actually a live stream, it was pre-recorded, but it went up as a stream, But a lot of those things are. The internet down there would be non-existent unless you're doing satellite. But,
these are my thoughts, but that was just like, peripheral kind of details of the stuff. Let me not let my nitpicky brain get in the middle of like this fantastic fucking visual that I've got right now. Like, this is, because, bruv, on a level, like, the whole live stream thing for me really didn't work for the most part, insofar as it just felt like a lot of fakery and a lot of pretense. Again, respectfully, not trying to diss anyone or whatever, but the music, for how long drum and bass has existed, like, I want in every sense for drum and bass to be more than just club music. Like, it deserves so much more than just, the soundtrack for your weekend warriors and their chemical romances. Like, it just should be more than that. So people doing these live streams, knowing full well that we can't go anywhere near a fucking club anytime soon, and you've got these motherfuckers in the first instance, before they start getting creative or before things start getting relaxed a little bit so they can be a bit more creative, and you've got these guys in their bedroom putting up these little flipping strobe lights and fairy lights and whatever the hell else, and they're still trying to play music loud on their little Bluetooth speakers and Gunfinger and Jesus pose their way through 2 hours of music. And it just felt corny, man. It just felt so contrived, because it's like, that's not even what we ever did. And I don't believe that you are enjoying what you're doing there. It's not enjoyed to look at. Like,
I didn't so much get into the DJ live streams, but I did enjoy the producer live streams. A lot of how-tos and
the little toots and that. That stuff.
Yeah, man, that was fire.
That stuff, yeah. When it's done right, because some people will kind of and ah their way through a lot of that stuff, and they'll just be there clicking stuff and stuff. Okay, I don't know why that's happening, but that's, oh, dude. Like, sometimes that can go bad as well. But yeah, the imparting of knowledge in that sense, but by virtue of it not being just like quote unquote entertainment, straight away that just has more value. Because again, if everyone wins from the sharing of knowledge, if that makes that opens a door, or scales a hump for someone to say, that's how you do that. I've been trying my hardest to get my that's it. Light bulb goes off, boom. You know, the next 6 months, someone's making bangers because all of a sudden they've just overcome this hurdle in their own brain. Like, I love stuff like that. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm all for that. All for that.
Going back to Tali, what's, you know, like I thought it was really insightful for having a UK person's point of view, especially an MC in the drum and bass scene, about what it was like back in those days to have this relatively unknown MC from fucking as far away from drum and bass as you can possibly get come into London and sort of just fuck shit up. What was it? Can you sort of give people an idea of what it was like when you were in the UK and Tali started blowing up?
I mean, my opinion is obviously going to be unique insofar as it's mine, but like, I almost wish that it wasn't the way it was, just so I could give you a slightly more useful answer in that, because of the V and the movement connection, you know, the introduction that I had to her was not the way that the public got to meet her. You know what I mean? So I'm just fascinated by the idea of A, somebody from New Zealand, B, an MC from New Zealand, C, a female MC from, what the fuck? Like, that was just like, so my fascination there, on account of how much we have in common, despite how much we don't have in common, made her a unicorn to me. But for other people that don't give,
she'd fucking love that you said that. She would love
so for other people that, you know, don't get that and don't even think about things in that way, and, you know, are not particularly much exposed to, you know, voices that aren't as deep as mine at, you know, that BPM and whatever else, it's like, oh my God, who the fuck is that? Like, you know, she'll tell you her damn self. She got a lot of like snide remarks and just disdain and just general contempt and whatever else. And it's like, what's with all that? How have you made up your mind that you don't like any of this already? Like, that's a bit mad to me. Like, I'm not gonna stand there and say that, like, you know, everything that came out of her mouth I loved, because I can't say that. I can't say that about anyone. That's not even me picking on her or being disrespectful. Just like, but the people they just made their mind up so quickly. I'm just like, what? Like, you're not even listening. You've just decided, but she doesn't sound like that. It's like they've just got this idea in their head, and they were just completely unreceptive to the idea of anything beyond what they just kind of like snap judged that she was bringing to the table. You know, that she was whiny, that she had nothing to say, that, you know, heaven forbid, you know, she's, you know, bonking her way around the genre to go get herself to place and whatever. I'm just like, are you really saying that with a straight face?
These are all the things that any female, like, you know, I feel like, you know, I shouldn't be mansplaining this in any way, shape or form. It's not my place. It's for a female DJ who's experienced it. But fuck me days, that is not uncommon for female MCs, DJs to have that fucking automatic connotation added over them, and not just drum and bass, but any fucking dance music, any kind of thing where women are actually empowering other women and themselves, and fucking going out there and doing something that takes huge cojones to fucking do. You know what I mean? Like,
bruv, like,
you know,
obviously some of the women within the genre had, you know, alluded to things of that nature in their own experiences, but because with, you know, I didn't find Tali in the genre as I got there, sort of thing, in the way that I did with, you know, a Storm or a Rap or something like that. They were there before me. Like, from my own perspective, I was kind of there before she was, slightly. So therefore, with her, my understanding and acceptance of her and her place within the genre started from zero and then built over time from meeting her. I didn't hear her before I met her. I met her first. So my impression of her and where she did fit into the genre was completely different as a result of that. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like I got to see and hear of her and then come to understand her story later. I got to understand her story from her telling me it and seeing responses to her separate to that which my interaction with her was. So they were somewhat like incongruent. They didn't really match. I'm not out here saying that she got hate or anything like singularly, because you know, it would always be that thing where you'd see her on the mic and Galley would flock to the front because they'd never seen anything like that before, chances are, or they hadn't seen that in a minute because, you know, their options prior to that was maybe, you know, Lady MC or Chickaboo, or that might even have been it. You know, they'll get Jenna to come and sing for them, but to have girlies like barring for them over some super rowdy, bassy Ronnie side stuff, you ain't getting that before.
I think that's the time a lot of those fucking early critics got silenced, bruv. Like when that shit started happening, it was game over. The music did the talking. Tali did the talking. She started narrating and like dictating the narrative of her fucking story. You know what I mean?
Bruv, she's like, yeah, for what she's done and for what she continues to do, you know, the longevity between then and now, you know, the bodies of work and whatever, or she's peerless. Like, she's absolutely peerless. It don't even matter what you think of the work. Like, you have no option as a civilized human but to respect the levels. You just have to. You just have to. There's no other option.
It's so fucking cool to hear someone of your esteem speaking about a Kiwi that way. I think we're so proud as Kiwis when one of us does well in that kind of regard. Not too well, mind you. Kiwis do love a fucking chopping down tall poppies here and there.
You know, but you'll do that amongst yourselves. You won't let someone like me hear that, you know what I mean? Because you don't want other people to be saying that shit. You can say that because you feel like it's yours to say that about, you know what I mean? But you won't just say that willy-nilly to all and sundry because you still want them to win.
Yeah. You went on that hospital weekender on the weekend?
I did the Saturday just gone, yes.
Did you? How was it? Because it looked fucking fire.
Bruv, you know what? It was pretty damn nice. It was pretty damn nice. Like,
was that your first festival post lockdown?
No. Freedom Day was in July, so there was plenty of stuff.
Oh yeah, it says quite a while
that hung in the balance as to whether it was scheduled to happen, and no one knew whether they were going to or not. So once the date was actually adhered to, and it, you know, everything happened as was quote unquote advertised, there was plenty to do. But no, that's probably going to be one of the last ones for the season. I think everything kind of goes back indoors as of now. I don't think there are any more outdoor things now.
Yeah, we hit daylight savings this coming Sunday, so I think you guys will be fucking. That's summer winding up. My God,
pretty much. You know, the temperatures say different, but yeah.
Bro, do you know what was a par? Was that this is the first time that I've been stuck in New Zealand during a lockdown and seeing raves going on overseas. Like, this is the first time anyone from New Zealand's actually experienced this. The first lockdown, the entire world went into lockdown together, whereas this time around, you guys have come out of lockdown. A lot of the drum and bass acts that come out here and are hugely popular out here have all been playing. So Kiwi kids have been fucking stuck at home watching all these epic raves going down, just thinking, fuck me days. I hope we can get back to raving. And I feel optimistic about you being able to get out here, unless England completely fucks out and we say no one from England's coming out here. But you've been double vaccinated anyway. But I digress. I think, you know, a lot of those kids have been stuck at home watching those things for the first time ever, and it's really fucked up a lot of people, you know, like a lot of people have actually made the effort this time to obey the rules and fucking just try and get this shit stamped out and eliminated as fast as possible. And I think I'm optimistic about, because we did talk about this when we last spoke about how you were kind of umming and ahhing whether or not you're actually going to make it out here, but I actually err on the side of a positive rather than negative, you know what I mean?
Well, Star, it's just the reversal of fortune as I see it, because, you know, back, I don't know, easily a year ago or probably more by now for the specifics of the dates and whatnot, but when the videos of, I think it might even have been Mardi Gras or something like that, those shits went viral like a motherfucker. Everyone's just like, oh yeah, lockdown this, lockdown that. You know, meanwhile in New Zealand, it's like, yo, what the hell? Like, COVID who? Let's go,
I was sort of wondering when like guys like Andy came out over the summer and Friction, Subfocus, to mention Netsky, they were all out here. I was wondering whether or not they were going to be on their on their social media just fucking doing mad updates and all that sort of shit, or I was wondering whether or not they're going to err on the side of respect for the people back home and not trying to have a sense of rubbing it in their face, you know what I mean? I guess it's got to be a tight line to walk, you know? But,
well, I think there's a way to share without gloating, but I think whether people were actually gloating or not, like just the fact that, you know, that which seemed inconceivable to folks, it's like, I thought this was like a globe. I thought this was a worldwide thing. How can they do that? What do you mean? How is that possible? Yeah, that was just an absolute head scratcher for so many people. It's like, wow.
We've definitely been lucky, man. Like it's we're lucky that we're probably one of the most isolated countries on the planet, and also B, we're lucky that we're fucking lucky we had the Prime Minister that we have. I'm not gonna lie. It's just, and our Director General of Health. You know, it's daily updates, information, concise, honest, practical. Fucking just do the fucking mahi, and at the end of it, we'll get the treats. You know what I mean? Which is, I think this is the way that it's going at the moment as well. You know, a lot of people are just like, we need to nut this out. There's so much fucking riding on it. Man, like businesses. I'm doing this podcast because I can't fucking work. You know what I mean? So it's just, but at the same time, we get support from the government. We're lucky. We're very lucky over here. You guys had it very fucking different, very different. And it was hard to watch because I saw, and I also felt, especially when you and I were talking last year, I felt like the pain and also the sense of urgency to try and get the fuck out of there. And it wasn't able to happen, you know? Terrible.
Yeah, and there's a lot of bullishness with regard to, you know, personal attitudes towards, you know, how responsible any individual is or can be in their conduct and, you know, carrying themselves through the world type thing. A lot of people were just on, fuck it, I'm just doing whatever I want to do. It's all bullshit. It's all lies. You know, they want you to think this. They are on. I was like, who's they? What is this they stuff, man? Like, if they doesn't have a name and a face, then fuck they. Like, just, you know, what are you doing walking around with that face nappy on and blah, blah, blah. So it's like, bruv, you know what? That so-called face nappy will be on me for less than 20 minutes per day. It's really not that much of an infraction upon my civil liberties. It's this, you know.
You know what I thought admirable about your case was that there was fuckery with the vaccines in the UK. So a friend of ours, who's also a person that you work for, Ritesh, flew you out to Mexico to go over to Mexico and hang out with them, get the fuck out of the UK, and then do a vaccine run. So where did you guys go? Like Texas or something?
Yeah. The first time we went to Texas, and the second time we went to Miami.
Well, shout out Ritesh as well, man. Ticket Ferry crew, legends.
Locust, don't know.
Yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I will see you in a couple of months' time when you make your way out to New Zealand for the summer. We get to hang out. I am going to wine you and dine you as usual. You know what I mean? We'll eat good food and I'll take you to some good spots because we'll be fucking clocking over it 100% over here by that stage, I reckon.
Sounds paradisiac.
It does, mate. It does. And say g'day to Shy and tell him we're looking forward to seeing him.
For sure.
And I'm hoping actually, like, we probably won't get enough time, but it would be great to fucking. Well, you and I will be able to have another chat once you're back over here in person. And, chew the fat after summer. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Nice one, bruv. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate the thought.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of the New Zealand Drum and Bass podcast, the history of New Zealand drum and bass. Keep it locked.
You've been listening to the History of New Zealand Drum and Bass series. For episode schedules and podcast information, follow us at NZDMB Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, with new episodes weekly on all major podcasting platforms. This is the History of New Zealand Drum and Bass.